this year, there are some unexpected players getting into the traditional television game, including digital content site Mashable. Our Julia Borston is at the expo along with Mashable's founder and CEO, Pete Cashmore. Hey, Julia.
Hey, Carl, thanks so much. And Pete, thanks so much for joining us here today. So it's interesting, you're making a big push, not just into digital video, but into traditional television with a partnership with Turner. Why, if you come from this more innovative medium, are you getting into traditional TV?
Yeah, so we announced the partnership with Turner earlier this year. What it's really about is that Mashable produces content differently. We have a different production process called Mashable Velocity, which is really about, we can predict what's going to go viral, we can produce to that need, and then we can target the right audiences after. And I think Turner was very interested in, you know, we're all aiming at this OTT thing. Mashable has a lot of data, a lot of ability to create content very efficiently, whereas Turner, of course, has the big distribution channels. So we're all aiming at the same thing, and we're pretty excited to be able to potentially reach linear with some of our branded content efforts. They're very excited to expand through our digital channels.
Now, there have been some reports that your big new shift into video and your investment in video has pushed your costs sky high and pushed Mashable from being profitable into the red. Are you convinced that these investments in video will pay off?
Absolutely. So I can't comment on specific, reporting, but what I would say is, look, the last couple of years, media companies like ours have said, video is a huge opportunity, we're going to invest very heavily there. What we've now found is through the velocity process and through our branded content, we've been able to drive very, very high margin on our video production. And I think we're hitting every target this year, and we think that video is going to be a profit center for us going forward. Obviously, there's an investment phase. Now I think it's the reaping the rewards phase of branded content, which we announced at the New Fronts last week, and we also announced a slate of shows. We're ready to go on video demand.
Kayla, you want to jump in here?
Yeah, Pete, this is Kayla Tausche back at the New York Stock Exchange. About a month ago, when Mashable went through its major restructuring, you cut back on politics and news and some of the editorial video. And I'm wondering, in such a changing media landscape, how you decided what Mashable's core competency would be.
Yeah, so really about this distributed world, what's important is that just like cable, right, we're going to be consumed not just on Mashable.com, but everywhere. And when we looked at that, we said, what do we really want the core of Mashable to be? How can we have a watermark for Mashable that whether you consume it on Snapchat, whether you consume it on Facebook Live, we have more than 30 million followers across all these distributed networks, and they're coming to us through different ways. How can we have a singular watermark that says this is Mashable every single time? And we decided that that was technology, that it was entertainment, that it was lifestyle, and it was business, all through a technology lens. And when you do that, obviously you need to focus, you need to make some hard decisions, but we said we want to have a Mashable watermark that's consistent as people are consuming our brand in different places.
Pete, can you talk about the impact of the rise of programmatic advertising on your revenue and on your decision to cut the, I believe it was 24 staff that you did cut as you moved toward video?
Yeah, programmatic has very little to do with any of this. Mashable is not heavily invested in programmatic advertising. Our fastest growing revenue stream is branded content, grew 69% over the past year. We've been investing heavily in Mashable Studios, which drives very, very high margin video content by working with brands. We worked with Wells Fargo on a series about explaining finance to millennials, for instance. Brands are really liking this stuff, so we're not affected by programmatic at all. We have never been heavily invested in it.
But looking more broadly at what's going on in the video advertising space now, you have Mashable embracing traditional video and television. You have Vice also working more closely on television with their own cable channel. What does this say about the business that you started out in? Does it mean that traditional advertising online is just not as strong as people such as yourselves might have originally thought it was?
I don't think so. I mean, we've obviously grown a huge business from scratch that I started in my bedroom in Scotland, so I think we're pretty excited about how far we've come, and we feel really good about it. I think what we're seeing is the huge opportunity is people are moving to consuming video on their phones. We think because we're a digital publisher, we can produce that content more efficiently, we have more data, and we can be more thoughtful about how we produce it. And we think just like in the last wave of newspapers, where Mashable became as big as a national newspaper distribution channel, I think in TV there's a huge opportunity for startups as well. As OTT is created, it's kind of easier to come at it as a startup without any legacy than to approach it from kind of the top down.
Carl?
Hey, Pete, it's Carl. I just wonder, there's so much emphasis on video and the revenue yield out of video. Where does it leave the written word? And where does it leave podcasts or all of those things being left for dead?
So there's a couple things, and I think people always focus on the new shiny thing. I mean, Mashable, when we announced all this stuff earlier in the year, we really said, look, we want to be a multimedia company, and we want to be a multi-platform company. So you can consume our stuff on Snapchat as little animations and visuals and videos. You can consume it on Facebook Live as live video, and you can consume it on Mashable and on Facebook as text. I think it's always going to be multimedia. Look, when one new medium springs up, the others don't go away. We think that text is incredibly valuable. It's incredibly efficient for us to produce. We often develop our text series, as we did with our recent series, Scamalot, into video series because it lets us see what's going viral and what's working. So I think it's going to be all of the above, and the digital media companies really need to be able to tell stories in every different way. We have a singular content team that doesn't say, what medium are we going to use first? They say, well, what story are we going to tell? And then let's figure out which mediums to put it into. So we're going to keep investing in our text coverage. We think there's time and a place where you can't consume video and you're going to want to consume text. And we're going to do all of it.
Now, you sold a percentage of the company to Turner, to Time Warner recently. And the company's been up for sale before. Does it make sense for Mashable to be a standalone company? Or is it stronger? Is there more potential if you're bought by a company like Turner or Time Warner? Well, are you still for sale?
That's a lot of question. I think we're incredibly excited to be an independent company. I mean, when you look at what we were able to do with Turner, is essentially we were able to get all the benefits of working with an established TV player while still remaining independent, investing in the way that we think is important. So I think this is a really perfect deal for us. We've maintained our independence while also getting all the benefits of a partnership. We share knowledge, we share ideas, we're producing content together. We're able to see how their world works, and they're able to see how our world works. And I think together we're going to find what is the future of TV.
Okay, well, we look forward to seeing what it looks like. Pete Cashmore,
thanks so much.
Thanks so much for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Guys, back over to you.
All right, thanks so much, Julia Borston with Pete Cashmore in Boston. Up next, Dell